Howdy. We should be streaming, hopefully. I'm waiting to see if we're streaming. I'm waiting for. All right, we're streaming. We're playing. We're playing some poker. That's about it. We got a fairly sized thing of whiskey here. Yeah, man, that's the plan. I don't know, maybe we'll throw up a podcast. I don't know, we'll see. I was listening to the Mark Zuckerberg interview on the Joe Rogan cast last time we streamed, so maybe I'll pick that back up again. But yeah. Hope you all had a good day today. My day was fairly good. It was not half bad of a day. Oops. I can't sigh and then proceed to sip my whiskey. Queen 7 offsuit. Checks all around, checks all around. Tomas? Hello?
What's up?
How are you doing, man?
I'm just playing Fortnite with my friend Ben.
Nice.
He's on Xbox, so I'm in a party with him.
He's what? Sorry? Oh, he's on Xbox. I'm just playing poker. How's your day, man?
Yeah, I've been working my new job, and it's good.
Yeah, how are you liking it, man?
It's so chill. It's so easy.
What do you do there?
Easiest job. I just wash and detail cars, like brand new cars.
Damn, that's sweet. Did you pick up a
Yeah.
Did you pick up a new car, or was that? I was a little confused.
Oh no, that was a dealership car that I was taking to get gas. It needed gas, so I was taking it to the gas station to fill it up. But it's clean.
Yeah,
I want
dude,
it.
those Subarus, at least those new fucking cars look so clean. God damn
Yeah,
it.
the new ones are nice, and they're like 28 grams. They're not that bad. One sec, Ben. I'm trying to figure this out. We're just really just being gay right now.
The craziness was over, it just kept continuing. KSI's old opponent, Joe Weller, started a mini brawl and wanted KSI to have 3 fights in one night.
Proof. Ow, motherfucker. What? Just load me. What happened?
Of course you have King High. Oh my god.
Wait, Ben, change it to duos. Oh yeah, me and Ryan won like 3 games in a row. I don't know. He is cracked. He's on PC, so he's just cracked.
Alright, I'm gonna head out, Tommy. Hope you have a good night, man. Middle pair. 1 heart. Whatever. We'll hope for 2 pair or that flush. Probably. Flush is pretty fucking unlikely, but hey, we'll see. I can't do that just with 6 pair. Fuck it, I guess it's too quiet. We're putting that fucking Joe Rogan podcast back on. This guy must have a 2 pair of something. Full house, baby. Damn.
Shifts and becomes more balanced or something like that. Whereas, historically it was all physical and there was very little kind of information or digital overlay on top of it. And now I think it's just steadily been increasing. But I mean, I think it's probably going to be a lot healthier for us, rather than consuming kind of all this additional context through this tiny little portal that we carry around on a phone, and you're just kind of like looking at this and you're missing the whole context. I think to have it be able to be overlaid and have kind of people be able to pop in and interact with them through it. I don't know, I think that's going to be powerful. We'll obviously need to get the balance on this right, but it's but I don't know, that's sort of how I think about it. I think like probably the right way to think about the real world is at this point is not actually just the physical world, but the physical world. I'm probably more kind of optimistic or believe that the physical world is probably more important to our being and essence and soul than probably a lot of other people in the industry. So I mean, I really care about getting that balance right.
I think the balance is important, but I think you're correct. I think there is an ever-increasing landscape of digital world that's undeniable, and it's a part of life now. And as the technology improves, it's going to be a bigger and bigger part of life. I wouldn't say my fear is, but my thoughts are that we're going to lead to a time someday where people become fully immersed 24/7 in a non-physical world. And I think that's the Matrix, and that's what people are worried about. That as this technology advances, especially with some sort of neural interface, that we're going to get to a place where we're not now a word from our really here anymore. We're there always. Like, how many people are on? How do you limit your social media use? How do you do it?
Me personally, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just doing so many things that in practice there aren't as many hours in the day. But and my kids, I haven't had to think about it quite as much yet because they're pretty young. 6 and 5, right?
Yeah.
Augie just turned 5 this weekend, but it's so I mean they use. I want them to use technology for different things. I mean I teach them how to code. I think it's like an outlet for creativity. I mean Augie especially. I mean Max likes building things. Augie thinks about it as art. So whenever like every night I try to do bedtime with them religiously. So I try to like end my meetings in order to be able to put them down and I ask them like what activity they want to do. Do you want to read or do you want to wrestle or whatever that then and Augie's just like, oh, I want to do code art. It's like that's such an interesting way to think about it. I always think about coding as like you're building something, and she just thinks about it as making the computer make art. So it's just like it's so anyway. I think it's good for them to get that exposure, but I don't know these things. It's not everything that you're doing on a computer or screen isn't the same. There's a lot of research into well-being that shows that there's like, are you actively engaging, and are you engaging with a person? Are you building relationships, or are you just consuming? And if you're building a relationship, then that is associated typically with a lot of long-term benefits and well-being, right? Because I mean, the relationships that we have in our lives, I view that as like the meaning, right? That's like that to me is like the point, and that I think over time is what generally creates happiness for people and prosperity. But if you're just sitting there and consuming stuff, I mean, it's not necessarily bad, but it generally isn't associated with all the positive benefits that you get from being actively engaged or building relationships.
Right, and
So-
you could engage with people actively online and
Yeah.
build digital relationships. And especially as this technology improves, you could actually have meaningful experiences with someone's avatar.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's very weird.
So I just want to make it so that the experiences that we're having aren't just these like passive things. So from my perspective, there's this like, people spend a lot of time with screens today. It's basically computers, phones, and TVs, and I'm always amazed because I spend all my time on phones and computers that for Americans still almost half the time that they spend on screens is TVs more than phones or computers. So
Really?
I mean, yes, I mean I think it might have just tipped to being in the last few years to being more phones and computers than TV, but TV is huge.
Because I know, like Netflix and YouTube, I think a giant amount of
Absolutely.
their stuff is on phones.
It's a lot on phones, but it's a lot on TVs too, and a lot of people are still just watching cable or different things
Right.
like that. And so when you think about new experiences, I actually think the first thing that they're going to go do is eat TV, right? And like and kind of the more passive things. So when people talk about being worried about the time that people are spending in different kind of social experiences, I mean, the time has to come from somewhere. I think it's worth looking at where it's coming from. If it's coming from sleep, that's probably not great, right? If it's coming from exercise, like I wouldn't be that happy with that. If it's coming from TV, I'm pretty fine with that, right? I think that's actually maybe a net improvement in well-being for people overall if you're shifting from this more beta kind of consuming state to just being actually actively engaged, potentially building relationships, and there's just a ton of TV time to eat, right? So I think before we worry about this kind of consuming more and more of people's time, I actually just think looking at the mix of what people do today is good. And I mean, my goal for these next set of platforms, they are going to be more immersive, and hopefully they'll be more useful. But I don't necessarily want the people to spend more time with computers. I just want the time that people spend with screens to be better. Because I mean, today so much of it is like you're just sitting around and I don't know, in this like beta state consuming stuff, and I think that's like, I don't know, I mean, so you asked me how do I control my own social media time or my time on this stuff. It's like, I mean, I do a bunch of social media, I do a lot of messaging. I really don't watch that much TV, and that's because I just don't have that much. I don't know, I find it puts me in this really weird mental state to unless there's something that I'm just like really attached to, right? So like I really like watching like UFC, for example, but that's because I also like doing the sport, right? So it's like I have some kind of connection to it. But I don't know, just like sitting around watching it's I don't usually like get into like a lot of TV shows or stuff.
Have
like
you
that.
always been a very physical person? Because I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah.
I see wakeboarding and stuff.
Yeah.
You're very active, like, which I think is it's a great message too. It's great for you, but it's also a great message for other people that here's this guy who's incredibly busy, and his life is overwhelmed with technology, yet he's constantly doing physical things and using his body and exercising and getting out in nature.
Oh
Yeah,
my god, I
think
fucking
it's
call
something
it.
My parents really stressed for me early on. They're like, my parents
Queen.
pushed me pretty hard. They're like, you're gonna do well in
Jesus,
school,
Queen,
and you're gonna be on 3
please.
varsity sports teams. And it's
That's
just
it?
yeah. Well, I mean, and you know, a lot of other stuff.
No, but I mean, like
but it's-
that. You don't have any debate. It's it. This
No,
is
it's-
this is
yeah.
the rule.
So it's like that's just what you're gonna do. So and I'm super grateful for it. I mean, they weren't very prescriptive, right? I mean, they didn't tell me I had to do computers. They didn't tell me which sports I had to do, but they were like, this is important. But I don't know. I mean, I've found it, especially as the company has scaled and in some ways become more stressful, it's like more important, right? It's I mean,
He doesn't have what he
sort of
wants
day
yet.
is
He
like-
must need the queen.
It's like, all right, you wake up in the morning,
Ah,
look at my phone, you get like a million messages.
8
right,
or
of stuff that
queen.
come in.
8 or a
It's usually
queen.
not good, right? It's I mean, people reserve the good stuff to tell me in person, right?
Right.
Ugh,
It's
dude.
like, okay, what's going on
God
in the world that I
fucking
need to
damn it.
kind of pay attention to that day?
We're losing all the
So it's
moolah.
almost like every day you wake up and you're like punched in the stomach, and then it's like, okay, well, fuck. Now I need to like go reset myself and be able to kind of be productive and not be stressed about this. So how do I do that? So I go, I read, I take in all the information, and then I go do something physical for an hour or two, and just kind of reset myself. And over time, what I've found is that it's not actually just. I used to run a lot, but the problem with running is you can think a lot while you're running. So I've especially over the last couple of years, I've gotten really into things that require full focus. So, you know, at the beginning of COVID, I mentioned that I spent a bunch of time in Kauai. Our family has a ranch down there, and like I spent a lot of time foiling and surfing. And it's like if you're foiling or surfing and you're on like a wave, you have to pay attention the whole time, right? Or else you're gonna fall and maybe get held under. And it's like not. That's not a great experience. I don't know if you surf, but
No, I don't. But I tried foiling, and
Uh-huh.
I'm an oaf. I couldn't get on the thing.
Well,
my young daughter is really good at it. My 12-year-old, and she just zooms around and gets on that thing, and I couldn't figure it out.
yeah. It's you're talking about e-foil
Yes.
for that. Yeah, I bet if you tried it for like a few days, you'd
That's
get it
the
down
problem.
pretty well. Yeah.
I tried it for about 3 hours, and I was like,
But
"Oh
the-
my god, this is awful."
But the actual foiling, not the e-foil. I mean, the e-foil weighs like 40 pounds. An actual foil board maybe weighs like 5 to 10 pounds. So, and after you learn how to foil, flying an e-foil is like it feels like you're flying a tank through the air or something. But it's I don't know, it's a pretty interesting learning curve. But it requires full engagement the whole time.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, that's sort of this
so
is
it's
sort of
cleansing.
yeah, and this
Please.
is sort of how I got into MMA too. Is after now I don't spend as much time in Kauai because things are ramping back up and I'm in the office a lot more. So it's like, all right, there's not as much foiling in Palo Alto. So it's like, all right, what's a thing that is both like just super engaging physically but also intellectually, and where you can't afford to focus on something else. And I think to some degree it's like MMA is like the perfect thing because it's like if you don't like you stop paying attention for 1 second, you're gonna end up on the bottom.
Yeah,
Right. So I've just found that is just really important for me in terms of like what I do and being able to just kind of maintain my energy level, maintain my focus, because then like after an hour or two of working out or rolling or wrestling with friends or training with different folks, it's like now I'm ready to go solve whatever problem at work for the day, and like I've fully processed all the
Dude,
news
the
for
man
the
had
day
this straight off the
that's
fucking
come
flaw.
in, and we're just ready to go.
how did you get introduced to martial arts training? Like, how long ago was this?
It was in the last 12 months actually.
Really?
Yeah, because it was basically I used to just run a lot and just do that, and then basically since COVID it's like got super into surfing and foiling, then got really into MMA.
So how did you initially approach it? Like, how did you get a trainer? Like, what did you do?
I know a bunch of people who are into it. There's actually this really interesting connection between people who surf and do jujitsu.
Oh yeah,
So
a lot of
yeah,
similarities.
So a bunch of the guys who I do that with, they kind of have gyms in Kauai, and I basically collected a bunch of recommendations, ran them by a bunch of people who I know, and I ended up. I
You
trained with
fucking
this guy, Dave
serious?
Camarillo.
I know Dave.
Yeah, Gorilla Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
So, and he's awesome.
He's great.
Yeah, super nice guy, and I feel like I'm learning a ton. And the crazy thing is, like, I don't know. I mean, it really is the best sport. I don't. The question isn't how did I get into it. It's how did I not know about it until just now. From the very first session that I did. Like 5 minutes in, I was like, "Where has this been my whole life?" It's like, all right, my mom made me do 3 varsity sports, and like my life took a wrong turn when I chose to do fencing competitively instead of wrestling in high school or something, right? It's like there's something that's just so primal about it. That's I don't know. It's and I've since then I've just introduced a bunch of my friends to it, and that's been really fun because now it's like we train together and we just like wrestle together, and just I don't know. There's like a certain intensity to it that I like, and it's sort of I don't know. Maybe it's like there's this cultural thing where maybe a lot of people haven't considered it,
Right.
but I've had 100% hit rate of introducing friends to it and converting them to people who now train. Every single person who I've kind of shown it to is like, this is amazing. This is like obviously how I should be training and working out.
Yeah, that's very impressive that it's 100%. You must have some solid friends, because a lot of people get turned off by the amount of effort that's involved, but they get excited by the problem solving, which is the more fascinating part, like learning the techniques and focusing on memorizing the techniques and developing the skills, and then drilling. Like that's probably one of the most important things about jiu-jitsu that people don't do enough of is drilling. Like I made some of my biggest leaps in martial arts from like blue belt to purple belt just through constant drilling. I was drilling all the time with my friend Eddie Bravo, so we were always working on techniques, and so I was able to like progress much quicker. And then I noticed when I stopped doing that later, my progress kind of stagnated. It's like there's a real clear correlation between the amount of energy you put into drilling and observing the technique, and then just going through the motion with like someone offering like 20%, 30% resistance. It's just not as fun. Like sparring is the most fun. Like you immediately want to just slap hands and start rolling. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really trust Dave, and so I think it's also
Dave's great.
Yeah, and I'm also just depending on what's going on in my life and work that day. Like some days I like have the energy to go spar, and some days it's good to just go drill. And it's like, all right, there's a lot going on. There's it's better to just go do something like 20 times in a row.
Both things are important, but if you can force yourself to drill more than you spar, you'll get better.
Yeah.
It's really important. It's like the most important thing, and it's the thing that people do the least of. Because like to really like carve those pathways in your mind, like when someone is in this position, you do that, and then you immediately get your knee in position and you shift your hips. It's just it gets driven into your programming, so that in the flow of an actual rolling session, it just happens.
Yeah.
You see Tom Hardy just won a bunch of fucking
I did.
matches. Tom Hardy is like an ass kicker. Him and Mario Lopez are out there competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments. Like, this is wild. And they're both like beginners. They're both like blue belts. I'm like, that's incredible.
Well, maybe I'll get there for my 40th birthday.
You should do it. Bourdain did it. He did it when he was like, God, I think he was like 60.
I just think I mean, I do a lot of stuff like this with friends, but I also just find like wrestling around with friends is
fun.
It's awesome.
Fun. Yeah, wrestling is fun. Jiu-jitsu is even more fun because it's like wrestling with like finishes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited that you're into it. It's really cool. And I think it really enhances your enjoyment of watching it on television because
Oh,
now
yeah.
you know what's happening.
But there's also like a lot of good parallels, I think, in philosophy for life and work and all that. I mean, both surfing and foiling and in jiu-jitsu, MMA, it's like I think it sort of teaches you about like the flow and momentum of things, and I think business is like this in a similar way, where it's like the hardest thing is knowing when you're in a position where you need to push through, versus sort of developing the intuition for when like all right when like the momentum is just going in the other direction. It's like all right, you're not going to be able to pump over this swell. It's if you keep your weight in this direction, you're going to get swept, right? I do think, I mean, it's a super concrete thing. I think one of the things that's sort of frustrating running a company is like the feedback loops are so long, right? It's like all right, so I showed you the pre-release version of the new VR headset that we're building. It. We've been working on that for years, and now it's like so basically the ideas that went into that. And there's obviously a lot of problem solving even up until now to kind of get it to work well, but the basic principles of okay, what like big features are we going to prioritize? I mean, made those decisions years ago, and we're not going to know if that's right until maybe a year from now, until we see how that goes. So there's something that I think is sort of it's difficult in running an enterprise of that scale to like try to learn from things at such a long such a kind of a long interval, and it's something that I just find super rewarding is having these parts of what I get to do on a day-to-day basis where you're learning about like you get to push on the world or push on other people and get to kind of see how that goes like a second later instead of 4 years later.
Right.
It's like all right, am I going to be able to like go turn that direction on that wave, or am I just going to get swallowed, right? So it's I don't know. I think that having that mix in your life is it feels really important and healthy to me. And I mean, I try to get my friends into it. I'm like,
I mean, it's interesting because I know Mark did a different interview with what's that guy's name? Anyway, he's into jiu-jitsu too, but he did a different interview, and I didn't end up watching the whole thing because it wasn't nearly as casual as this is. But it's interesting to see Mark talk about his interests and his life and how he deals with everything he does. Yeah, it sucks. I cannot. I can't fucking do it. And I don't even want to look either. So bad, dude. I saw it in the corner. So bad. I just should have called, dude. Oh, dude, I hate gambling. Who won? Player 2? Fuck. So annoying. Anyway, fuck this. I want to go back to this fucking
do jiu-jitsu too. I just think it's like really important that they kind of develop all these skills and appreciation for doing physical things, just like my parents taught me. But I don't know. It's I guess overall it's like a big part of it's a big part of who I am. I think. I mean, going back to the other conversation about like, are we just brains and tanks? It's like no, because this is like the part of my life that I think is it's like this is super fun. Like the building things, it's like that's super engaging too. It's like a very different type of intellectual exercise.
Well, it's also the one-on-one physical connection with a person. I would imagine that your life has got to be very bizarre because you are the head of this enormous platform. and you're dealing with so many human beings and so much negativity and positivity and all kinds of fires that you have to put out and all sorts of chaos, and to just have one thing, one person right in front of you is probably really good to sort of clean the pipes out and
Yeah.
just like clear your mind and have your ability to focus on things sort of like put into perspective.
Yeah.
That it's got to be very unman. I mean, I don't know how, I've talked to people about this before. Whenever people talk about like social media sites and they're doing this and they're doing that, I'm like, could you imagine trying to manage at scale 5 billion people or whatever it is? How many people are on Facebook right now?
Facebook is almost 3 billion, but across our different properties, it's like a little more than 3.5 billion.
That's so many people.
Yeah.
That's impossible. Like no one can manage 5 billion people.
Yeah.
Or 3 billion people or a billion. It's like the numbers are they're so absurd that it's so preposterous. It doesn't make any sense. So like I would imagine that for your mind, the amount of pressure that's involved in just maintaining, it's like it has to be like looming over you at all times in the background. Like it's probably very difficult for you to find things that filter that out.
Yeah, I mean, there's always stuff to work on, right?
Yeah.
So I think a big part of trying to push forward is maintaining enough control of my time to push on the things that, like, I believe need to be advanced for the future rather than being reactive. Like, if my day is primarily consumed with just reacting to things that people are throwing at me, I mean, I can spend all of my time 1,000 times over just reacting to all the things that people throw at me, and I still wouldn't get through the whole list.
Right.
Which, by the way, I mean, I think that that's probably a somewhat extreme version because I'm running this company, but I actually think this is probably true for everyone. I think pretty much every person, I think, has a lot that gets thrown at them, and you could spend all of your time just reacting to that. And I think a lot of what kind of creates the ability to be successful long term and to build things and change your life and build products that change other people's lives is carving out the time to do stuff that's proactive. And that's both taking care of yourself, right, and kind of and being physical and getting out there and also getting to spend time with my family and my girls and all that. But it's also, I mean, I could spend all of my time just working on the things that we've already built and not trying to advance this vision for the future. But balancing that is important. I mean, it's like I also spend a ton of time on all the social media pieces of what we're building. I mean, it's like they're nowhere near done, right? And there are some awesome evolutions that are happening there with enabling more creators and enabling more people to have a voice there. I mean, the creative economy has sort of exploded over the last few years, and I think it's just at the beginning of like sort of hopefully remaking a lot of the economy for the country and the world, so that way more people can pursue creative endeavors. I think that's just going to be one of the most positive trends that comes out of this decade. So
I agree with you 100% on that. It's really an amazing time for people to be able to carve out an alternative living.
Yeah.
And to do so through social media platforms. And there's so many people like using all the platforms that have developed these followings and started businesses, and whether it's in fitness or there's all these people that are just chefs that like they cook online and they share and sell recipes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the things that I really admire about what you do is, it seems like you have a real commitment to giving a voice to a lot of different types of people, right? It feels like a big part of your theme is, you have a lot of people on the show who would just nowhere, like no chance that they get the exposure that they get from talking to you elsewhere. And part of the question that I wonder about is in Instagram and in Facebook, you have your follow graph, right? You have your, the people you choose to follow, and you have your friends. But can we build AI systems that can also just help recommend better content that you didn't know to follow yet? Because it's kind of it's up your alley. It's like aligned with the type of things that you care about, your values, your interests.
Right.
And I just view that kind of confluence of building. It's a very specific AI problem. It's not like this kind of general intelligence AI problem, but I tend to think about things in terms of more specific problems that you can break down and try to deliver value for people. But I think I just love it if in I don't know, a couple of years a significant, not the majority, but a significant part of the Instagram and Facebook experiences were basically highlighting different creators who you might be interested in but might have not otherwise seen. And I think that would both be good for people who are using those experiences to like discover more people, get more diversity of input into their lives, but also I think can help push that creative economy forward. It's I don't know. That's one of the things that I'm super passionate about right now.
Well, having an algorithm like that could really help. Like one of the things that Spotify does really well is suggest new music.
Yeah.
So if you like a certain, I love how they do that. Where if you like a certain kind of music and you develop these playlists, they'll start recommending you music. And I found out about so many different bands that I would never know about before. I think it's really the thing that gets people with algorithms is that algorithms today have this negative connotation to them, and people there's a lot of argument that algorithms cause dissent and cause arguments and cause strife, and that people are focusing only on the things that upset them.
Fuck, dude!
The real problem with
Oh
that
my
is
fucking
they're not taught how
God.
to think and focus
Dude,
on things.
what is with me doing so fucking shit right now? Dude, I'm really about to lose all of the money. God. Fuck. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that just fucking happened. Yeah, I can't play anymore. I have to come back with a different mindset. We're just losing everything. We gotta, I mean, we don't have to fucking stop streaming, I guess, but god damn it. God, that's fucking annoying.
Because what the algorithms pick up on is essentially what are you spending the most time on? Well, if you're spending the most time on carpentry and parasailing and deep sea fishing, that's what the algorithm's going to recommend to you. Like my friend Ari, we went through this experiment where he only Googled puppies, and he only used.
Dude, I have like a slight headache now after that. Man, one of the difficult parts about gambling online is it's really, really hard to tell when people are bluffing. And you don't really know the players, you just know the odds. And when you're playing off odds, it's really about chance. There's no... You can pick up on somebody, the way they bluff just a tiny bit, and the way they play just a tiny bit, but it's like, when it's through a screen, it's so fucking hard. Yeah, it feels near impossible. And, I mean, I've had nights where I've done really, really well in this game, because, I don't know, I think sometimes I'll get in a specific mindset where I really can just bring the fucking pain. But, yeah, not tonight. God damn it. I kinda wanna watch when I lost.
Recommending you music. I found out about so many different bands that I would never know about before. I think it's really the thing that gets people with algorithms is that algorithms today have this negative connotation to them, and people there's a lot of argument that algorithms cause dissent and cause arguments and cause strife, and that people are focusing only on the things that upset them.
Fuck, dude!
The real problem with
Oh
that
my
is that
fucking
they're not taught how
God.
to think and focus
Dude,
on things.
what is with me doing so fucking shit right now? Alright, that didn't make me feel any better. Oh man. surprised the stream looks so good for. I'm surprised anybody has the ability to stream like this. I mean, unless they have just dog shit internet. But man, what should I do, guys? I think I want to play Rust. I'm kind of in the mood to play Rust. Especially because, I mean, I tried to stream it last time and it didn't work, but now I have it working. The sound I'm referring to. Man, oh my goodness. That really made me, I'm not even angry about it anymore, but, it definitely worked me up a fair amount. That sucked.
YouTube puppies, and that's all they were recommended him.
Mm-hmm.
Like YouTube videos was all just puppies, and he's like, see, like all.
I don't think we can have this up anymore because
this stuff that people are saying, like, oh, the algorithms are tearing us apart. Like, no, we're tearing us apart. The algorithms just highlight the things that you're interested in. It's not like the algorithm's some tricky program designed by the communist government to try to get you to argue with each other. No, you're arguing. You like to argue.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the algorithms can also obviously be designed better or worse. So, one of the things that I'm pushing on a lot right now is there's this idea in designing recommendation systems of explore versus exploit, in that it's like, okay, if someone has spent a bunch of time, searching for puppies, they like puppies, so if you show them a puppy video, they'll probably engage with that. But if you only show them puppy videos, over the long term, you're missing an opportunity to understand what other things that they're interested in. So even though it might not be kind of ideal for the experience today, carving off, 5%, 10% of basically the experience to just try to expose people to different things to see if they're interested in that too, ends up paying long-term dividends. So I do think that, like, these systems done well, if you design them with a long-term perspective and you're not just trying to kind of maximize engagement today, but you're really trying to understand what people care about and who people want to become and what their values are, I think you can build some stuff that gets really good over time. But I do think that the design of the system and the values that go into it matters quite a bit too.
I think so too. I'm not neither pro nor con algorithms or recommendations. I think it's a fascinating aspect of social media, but I do think that there are certain people that, unfortunately, when they get excited about a thing or when they start going online, they generally gravitate towards things that irritate them and upset them. And that's the big concern that many people have with algorithms and with the use of social media, Twitter in particular, is that people are using it and getting upset, and it's creating more tension and more of a divide.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to think about these services not just in terms of the information that is conveyed, but, as a product designer, a big part of what you're designing is the emotional experience that people have using it. So, like, I just don't want to build something that makes people super angry.
Right.
And I think that these things have different charges to them, right? I mean, Twitter, I agree. It's like you're on it, and it's the plus side of it is that you get all these people who are super witty and are saying super insightful things, but a lot of them are very cutting, right? And I find that it's hard to spend a lot of time on Twitter without getting too upset. On the flip side, I think Instagram is a super positive space. It's almost I think some of the critique that we get there is that it's very curated and potentially in some ways overly positive. But it's but I think the energy on Instagram is generally very positive, and it's easy to spend time there and kind of just like absorb a lot of the positivity.
I think that's true, but how'd that happen?
Well,
like, why is Instagram generally friendlier?
I mean, so I think that it's the design of the system, but it's but one thing is I think images are a little less cutting usually, and kind of critical than text. I think the news in general is often negative. I think the incentives of the news industry are often to well, I think just the mission of the news industry is to kind of speak truth to power and highlight things, like hold people accountable. So I think that even if you're looking at it from that perspective, I think a lot of the stuff is like it's generally has this very critical tone to it, and but like with everything, there's just a balance. If you spend your whole life living in criticism, then that's super negative. But I think that what we've tried to do with Facebook is have a little bit of both, right? I mean, Facebook has images and videos, but it also has news, and the part of it that's probably the most critical, where we probably have the most controversies around the more newsy type stuff, the more political type stuff, and over time, I mean, I've generally just felt like, hey, that's not even what people in our community tell us that they want, right? People say that they come here because they want to connect with other people and explore interests, and so I just want to emphasize that more. But like, there's some very intentional decisions that you can make in terms of designing this stuff. So, for example, on Facebook, when you're reacting to a post, you in addition to liking it, you can heart it, you can like give it kind of an angry emotion. And one of the decisions that we've basically made is if someone kind of gives an angry reaction, we actually don't even count that in terms of whether to show that to someone else, or maybe we even discount it, right? So it's if you could kind of view it as, okay, someone chose that they like were interested in this post and chose to give an angry reaction, but we just don't want to amplify anger, right? That's like not what I kind of view us as here to do. So we're just going to basically take that signal and like not use it to show the post to more people.
So how do you do that? Like, how do you decide? Like, what if it's anger, but it's justifiable anger?
Yeah, I think that that's exactly the right question. Is basically, when I was making that decision internally, a bunch of teams were like, well, there is a lot of stuff that's wrong in the world, and people should be angry about that. It's like, yeah, I think that's fair, but I'm not here to design a service that makes people angry, right? So I kind of think that there's a balance, and it's not like there's not going to be any angry stuff. I mean, people can still react and say that something is negative if they don't like it, but I don't view our job as going and needing to kind of amplify all that stuff.
So why do you have the option to have an angry response?
Well, I think it's good for people to be able to convey it.
So is it like a thumbs down?
Yeah. I can't listen to the podcast while playing this game. It's definitely too much. All right, where do we want to build a base? I kind of want to go here because it's also close. We got outpost. We don't have a lot here, but I mean, honestly, I want some combat and it's a turret. We can TP bases, so we'll see how this goes. Is the keyboard too much? I'm sure it's pretty fucking loud. Wrong way. Where's the TC here? Is there TC? Oh. Yeah. It's probably right there. Oh. Yeah. Wish we could find some fucking... I mean, I haven't seen that before. Some hemp. Where is the fucking... There's the cloth. Probably should have made a bone knife midway. What? I could only make the... Okay, whatever. Find that. Whatever, we're not gonna start fucking mining until we're there. I mean, we're almost there. Whatever. Yeah, alright. We don't have any... Yeah, we do. Okay. Oh, fuck. Man, he has fucking nothing. Oh, fuck, dude. Jeez, man. Yeah, great fucking kill, dude. Amazing kill. Fuck. Well, for not having that many people on, you've ran into 2 people already. Those are... Oh, wow, there's a lot of, let me heal up. A lot of boyos. Boyos there. Yeah, they'll shoot at me if I put that thing, probably. Why is there so many? Oh my god, that scared the fuck out of me. Probably a no-go. There's not really a whole lot we can do there. Yeah, there's just too many scientists. Honestly, just get a fucking base down. That's rough. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of shit. fuck. Oh, so aged, dude. Dude, this game is almost as frustrating as poker. There's like nowhere to build over here. We're not fucking cool. I think it's too late to keep playing, and I can't think of anything else to play, dude. I need a new chair. Do you guys see this? Howdy. We should be streaming, hopefully. I'm waiting to see if we're streaming. Alright, we're streaming. We're playing, Howdy. Wow, so it started streaming, like, instantly. That's definitely interesting. Yeah, so in this stream, we got really angry, lost $10, $11.20, and got drunk. Amazing stream. Cheers.